Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of English writing.
Oh, very cool.
We know that you're here because you're looking to improve your writing skills. And we've got some really great material for you. We've been digging through this podcast episode with John and Sarah.
Oh, okay.
They're both experienced English learners and educators,
Yeah.
and they share their journeys and tips for improving their writing.
Sounds interesting.
And what I thought was so cool is that they both started just like they didn't, they weren't born amazing writers.
Yeah.
And so it's a very relatable episode. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that uh, John initially struggled with feeling completely overwhelmed by the writing process. It's really common. I think a lot of people probably feel this way. Like, where do you even begin
Yeah.
when you think about all the grammar rules and the pressure to write perfectly from the very beginning?
Yeah, it's a lot. It can be really intimidating.
Yeah. But he had this breakthrough moment, and he realized that by breaking down the writing process into smaller, manageable steps, it made it so much easier for him. And it's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Right.
And it's really
This
true.
makes so much sense.
Um, and so I was really curious, like, where did he begin? Did he, like, try to write novels or, complex essays right from the start?
Well, actually, he took a much simpler approach. He started just by writing about everyday things,
Oh, okay.
like his daily routine, what he had for breakfast, or his commute to work.
So, like, no need to dive into Shakespeare right away.
Exactly. He just kept it simple.
That's great. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that advice a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those of us who need a little more structure, a little more inspiration?
Mm.
When you're staring at that blank page, it can be really, really daunting.
Right. So for that, John actually found writing prompts and guided exercises to be incredibly helpful.
Oh, interesting.
It really gave him direction and sparked ideas.
Oh, I like that. So that's cool. So where did he find these prompts? Were they, passed down from generation to generation of English writers?
No, not quite. He used a bunch of different readily available resources,
Yeah.
like online prompt generators and language learning apps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There are a ton of different platforms that offer all sorts of prompts tailored to different skill levels and interests.
So you can really find something that resonates with you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, one prompt might ask you to describe your dream vacation,
Oh, fun.
or another might challenge you to write a persuasive letter to your younger self.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good
The
one.
possibilities really are endless.
Okay, cool. So we've got our prompt. We're fired up and ready to write. But what about the dreaded grammar police? Did John just let those grammar gremlins run wild?
Actually, he had a really interesting approach to grammar. He didn't let the fear of making mistakes paralyze him at all.
Oh, okay.
Instead of obsessing over perfect grammar from the start, he actually prioritized just getting his ideas down on paper.
So you're saying it's okay to completely ignore grammar?
Well, not completely. It's more about shifting your focus at different stages of the writing process.
Okay.
So research has actually shown that when we hyper-focus on grammar and mechanics while we're trying to generate ideas, it can actually hinder our creativity.
Oh, wow.
It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on.
That's a good analogy.
You've got to release the brake to get those creative juices flowing.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so first let those ideas flow freely, and then you can kind of go back and polish them up later.
Exactly.
Did he completely ignore grammar, though? Or did he eventually kind of go back and address those errors?
He definitely addressed them, but he did it strategically.
Okay.
As he wrote more, he started to notice his common grammar slip-ups. And then he used different grammar resources and developed the habit of self-editing.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so he kind of built a feedback loop into his process.
That's really cool. But even with self-editing, sometimes you need an outside perspective to catch those sneaky little errors that you miss.
You're totally right. Feedback is crucial.
Yeah.
And John initially relied on a language partner to review his writing and offer suggestions.
Oh, nice. So they'd like meet up or...
Yeah, they'd meet regularly, exchange work, and provide each other with constructive criticism.
I like that. Language partner. That sounds like a fantastic resource.
It is.
But what if you don't have a language partner? What if you don't have, a grammar guru on speed dial?
That's okay. There are other great options for getting feedback.
Oh, good.
Technology can be a huge help.
Right.
So John, for example, he discovered these apps like Grammarly,
Oh, yeah.
and it's more than just a spell checker. It analyzes your writing for grammar, punctuation, clarity, and even plagiarism.
Oh, wow. So it's like having an automated editor at your fingertips.
Pretty much.
Very cool. I like that. But, there's more to good writing than just perfect grammar.
Right.
It's also about using the right words to convey your message effectively.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, Did John have any secrets for expanding his vocabulary?
He did. He did.
Lay it on me.
He kept a vocabulary journal,
Oh,
and he would write down any new words he encountered while reading or listening to English.
okay.
But here's the key. He didn't just let those words sit passively in a notebook. He actually actively incorporated them into his writing.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, he challenged himself to use those new words in different contexts.
So it's not about just like memorizing lists of words.
Yeah.
It's about actually like integrating them into your active vocabulary.
Exactly. Use it or lose it.
I like that. Did he ever get stuck, though, like trying to remember the exact definition of a word?
Oh, for sure. But he would use a bunch of different techniques.
Like what?
So sometimes he'd refer back to his vocabulary journal. Sometimes he would use online dictionaries and thesauruses to kind of explore synonyms and different shades of meaning.
Wow.
But one of the most effective techniques that he used was paraphrasing.
Oh, paraphrasing. Isn't that just kind of rewording something?
It is, but it's a really powerful tool for learning. So John would take sentences from books or articles, and he would try to rephrase them using different words and grammatical structures.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it helped him understand how to express the same idea in multiple ways, which is so essential for developing a flexible and nuanced writing style.
That's really cool. It's like flexing your language muscles.
Exactly.
We've been talking about writing in a general sense.
Mm.
Did John experiment with different writing styles, or did he stick to one specific format?
He definitely experimented.
Okay.
His journey actually involved exploring a variety of different writing styles, from informal to formal to creative.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He even started with informal writing, like personal journaling.
Journaling again. It seems like that's a recurring theme for both John and Sarah.
It is a popular one.
Did he have a specific approach to journaling, or was it just kind of free-flowing thoughts?
He did. He actually set specific goals for his journal entries.
Oh, interesting.
So like sometimes he would focus on using descriptive language. Other times he'd challenge himself to incorporate transition words effectively.
Oh, that's small.
It was a way to intentionally practice different writing skills in a more relaxed and personal context.
So it wasn't just random ramblings. He was actually like honing his craft
Exactly.
in a very personal and low-pressure way.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I like that.
Did he eventually venture into more formal styles?
He did. As he gained confidence, he transitioned into writing essays and reports, paying more attention to structure, organization, and supporting his arguments with evidence. He even dabbled in creative writing,
Oh, wow.
exploring short stories and poetry.
Wow. It sounds like he really embraced the full spectrum of writing styles.
He did. He really enjoyed exploring all the different possibilities.
But how did he know if he was actually improving? Did he have a system for tracking his progress?
He had a really clever trick. Every few months, he would actually revisit his older writing.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And by comparing his earlier work to his more recent pieces, he could clearly see how much he had improved. That's such a smart strategy.
It's a very tangible way to measure growth and stay motivated.
It's so easy to get discouraged when you're in the thick of things.
Huh.
But seeing how far you've come can be so inspiring.
It is.
But let's be real. Writing isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
True.
What about those times when you're just stuck staring at that blank page
Yeah.
and the words just won't come? Did John have any techniques for dealing with writer's block?
Oh, he definitely knew the frustration of writer's block. He did.
Yeah.
He found that taking breaks and stepping away from writing for a bit would really help clear his head.
So instead of just like agonizing over the blank page,
Yeah.
he gave himself permission to step away and recharge.
Exactly. And he'd go for walks, listen to music, or engage in activities that kind of sparked his creativity.
Okay.
He also utilized brainstorming techniques,
Yeah.
jotting down any ideas that popped into his head, no matter how random or seemingly insignificant.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would use a technique called free writing,
Oh, what's that?
where he would just write continuously for a few minutes without worrying about grammar, structure, or even making sense.
Oh, wow. Free writing. That sounds
Ah.
incredibly liberating.
It is. It's like a mental decluttering exercise for your thoughts.
I love that. Did he find that it helped him overcome those creative roadblocks?
It often did. By allowing himself to write freely without any constraints, he would often stumble upon unexpected ideas and connections that he might have otherwise missed.
Oh, that's interesting.
And for those times when he needed more structure, especially when working on longer pieces, Jordan found outlining to be an invaluable tool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'd create a basic outline with bullet points of the main ideas that he wanted to cover. And it helped him stay organized and maintain a logical flow throughout his writing.
That's a classic technique for a reason. It's like having a blueprint for your writing.
Right.
But let's be honest, technology has really dramatically changed the writing landscape.
It has.
So did John kind of shy away from digital tools, or did he embrace them?
He was definitely a tech-savvy writer.
No.
He utilized apps like Grammarly and Hemingway Editor
Oh, yeah.
to really refine his writing.
Mm.
So Grammarly, as we mentioned earlier, helped him catch those pesky grammar errors and polish his sentence structure.
So-
And Hemingway Editor encouraged him to write in a clear and concise style, avoiding unnecessary complexity.
So it's like having this whole team of digital writing assistants,
It's pretty amazing.
all dedicated to making your writing shine.
Yeah.
Did he find that those tools stifled his creativity, or did they actually enhance it?
For John, they were really liberating.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they freed him from the burden of constantly second-guessing his grammar and style, allowing him to really focus on expressing his ideas effectively. He also used online thesauruses to explore synonyms and diversify his vocabulary, adding more depth and richness to his writing.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But, amidst all the grammar rules, digital tools, writing techniques, John never forgot about one really crucial element:
What's that?
inspiration.
Yes, of course.
So where did he find that? Was it hiding in a secret compartment in his vocabulary journal?
Well, it wasn't quite that hidden.
Okay.
John found inspiration by simply reading.
Reading.
A lot. He devoured everything from blog posts and articles to even social media posts, and he paid close attention to the different writing styles, techniques, and vocabulary used by others.
So it's like immersing yourself in the world of language.
Yeah.
Soaking up inspiration from all around you.
Exactly.
Did he have any favorite authors or bloggers that he particularly admired?
He had a wide range of interests.
Okay.
And he drew inspiration from many different writers. Sometimes he'd even try to mimic the style of a writer that he admired,
Oh, wow.
just to see how it felt to write in that way.
That's a great way to... It's like trying on different writing voices.
It is.
Experimenting with different perspectives and techniques.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about embracing that learning process and constantly seeking ways to improve.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring John's journey and his strategies for improving his English writing. But let's not forget about Sarah.
Right.
She's got a wealth of knowledge to share as well.
She does.
What are some of the unique insights that she brings to the table?
Well, one of Sarah's biggest takeaways is the importance of editing and feedback. And she has some really fascinating strategies for refining your work and making sure that your message comes across clearly and effectively.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Let's take a deeper dive into Sarah's world of editing and feedback. Welcome back. So we were just talking about Sarah and how important she thinks editing and feedback are.
Right.
Okay, so spill the beans. Give me some of her insider tips.
Okay, well, one of Sarah's biggest takeaways is to separate the writing from the editing process.
Okay.
Like, treat them as two distinct phases. So during the initial writing stage, she really encourages you to just let those thoughts flow onto the page.
Got it.
Don't worry too much about perfect grammar or sentence structure just yet. Just get it all out there.
Okay, so just let your creative juices flow freely.
Exact.
That sounds like my kind of approach.
Yeah.
But I imagine there comes a point where you have to face those grammar gremlins
Yes.
and you have to whip those sentences into shape.
Right. That's where the editing phase comes in.
Okay.
And Sarah really stresses the importance of giving yourself some distance from your writing before you dive into the edits.
Okay.
She actually recommends taking a break, even overnight if possible, to return to your writing with a fresh perspective.
That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like when you step away from a painting and then you come back to it later.
Yep.
And you suddenly see things that you didn't notice before.
Exactly. It's amazing how that works.
It is.
Huh.
But so what are some of Sarah's specific editing strategies? Does she have any magic tricks for transforming those rough drafts into polished masterpieces?
She does have some great techniques. One of her favorites is to read her writing aloud.
Out loud.
Yeah, slowly and carefully.
Okay.
And this helps her catch any awkward phrasing, clunky sentences, and those sneaky little grammar errors that can easily slip through the cracks.
That's a great tip.
Yeah,
It's amazing how our ears can sometimes pick up on things that our eyes just completely miss.
it's true.
But what about content? Does Sarah have any strategies for making sure that the writing is not only grammatically correct, but also clear and engaging for the reader?
Yes, she does. She's a big believer in the power of clarity and conciseness.
Okay.
She encourages writers to eliminate any unnecessary words or phrases, get to the point quickly, and use really strong verbs and vivid language to kind of paint a picture in the reader's mind.
So I like that. It's like
Yeah.
you're decluttering your writing.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all the excess baggage and letting that core message really shine through.
Right, exactly.
But, even with the best editing techniques, sometimes you need an outside perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
We talked about feedback earlier with John, but how does Sarah approach getting feedback on her writing?
Well, she's a huge advocate for seeking diverse perspectives, so she'll often share her writing with friends, colleagues, even family members, and ask them for honest and constructive feedback.
So it's not just about grammar and mechanics. It's about getting feedback on the overall message, the
Yes,
clarity and the impact of the writing.
exactly. She wants to know if her writing is engaging, if it makes sense, if it achieves its intended purpose.
Right.
And she's also not afraid to seek feedback from professional editors,
Oh,
especially when she's working on important pieces.
that's a great reminder that even experienced writers can benefit from professional guidance.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like having a personal writing coach to help you elevate your work to that next level.
Yes.
Um, but beyond just getting the feedback, Sarah also has some interesting techniques for incorporating that feedback into her writing.
Right. She doesn't just passively receive feedback, she actively engages with it.
Oh, okay.
So she'll often print out her writing and use different colored pens to mark up the areas where she received feedback.
Oh, that's interesting.
And this helps her to kind of visualize those suggestions and then decide which ones to implement.
That's a clever visual strategy. It's like creating a roadmap for your revisions, guiding you through that process of integrating feedback and really refining your work.
But even with all of these amazing editing and feedback techniques, I'm curious about Sarah's overall philosophy on writing. What does she believe is the ultimate goal of good writing?
Well, for Sarah, it's all about connection.
Connection.
Yeah, she believes that good writing should connect with the reader on an emotional level.
Oh.
It should make them think, feel, and see the world in a new way.
So it's not just about conveying information, it's about creating an experience for the reader.
Exactly. And Sarah's writing is often infused with personal anecdotes, vivid imagery, and thought-provoking questions that invite the reader to engage with her on a deeper level. And she believes this applies to all types of writing,
Not just creative writing.
right? Not just creative
So
writing.
even if you're writing a business report or an email, you can still strive to connect with your audience on that deeper level.
Absolutely. It's about finding those ways to make your writing relatable, engaging, and ultimately memorable. I love that. It's like adding a human touch to your writing,
Yeah.
making it more than just words on a page.
Exactly.
But how does Sarah approach those more technical aspects of writing, like grammar and vocabulary?
Well, while Sarah definitely values proper grammar and a strong vocabulary, she doesn't believe they should overshadow the core message of the writing.
Okay.
She encourages writers to use grammar and vocabulary as tools to enhance their writing,
Right.
not as rigid rules that stifle creativity.
So it's about finding that balance between correctness and expressiveness.
Exactly. Sarah believes that language is fluid and dynamic,
Right.
and she encourages writers to experiment, play with words, and find their own unique voice.
That's such a refreshing perspective.
Yeah.
It's like giving yourself permission to break free from those rigid rules
Right.
and embrace the playful and creative side of writing. But I'm curious, does Sarah have any specific techniques for expanding vocabulary and improving grammar? Or does she just trust that it will happen naturally through practice?
Well, she definitely believes in the power of deliberate practice. One of her favorite techniques for expanding vocabulary is to really pay attention to the language that's used in everyday life.
Okay.
So she'll often jot down interesting words that she hears in conversations or sees in books and articles or even encounters on social media.
So she's turning the world into her personal vocabulary playground.
Pretty much. And she doesn't just passively collect words.
Right.
She actively integrates them into her writing,
Okay.
challenging herself to use them in different contexts.
I like that. And what about grammar?
For grammar, she's a big believer in reading widely
Oh, okay.
and paying attention to how different authors construct their sentences. She also uses grammar resources,
Okay.
like online style guides and dictionaries, to clarify any doubts or uncertainties that she has.
So it's a combination of active learning and seeking out expert guidance. That sounds like a really effective approach. But I'm wondering, how does Sarah stay motivated throughout this process? You know, writing, especially when you're striving to improve, can be challenging and even frustrating at times. Does she have any secrets for staying focused and keeping that writing momentum going?
She does. One of her biggest motivators is setting realistic goals.
Okay.
She breaks down those larger writing projects into smaller, more manageable chunks, which makes the task feel a lot less overwhelming.
That makes sense.
And she celebrates those small victories along the way.
So it's about acknowledging those milestones
Yeah.
and giving yourself credit for the progress that you're making.
Exactly. And she's a big believer in rewarding herself for her efforts.
Okay.
Whether it's taking a break to enjoy her favorite activity or indulging in a special treat or simply giving herself a pat on the back.
Right.
She finds that these little rewards help her stay motivated and maintain a really positive attitude towards writing.
That's such a great reminder. We often get so caught up in striving for perfection that we forget to acknowledge and celebrate those accomplishments along the way.
It's so true.
But what about those times when motivation alone just isn't enough? What does Sarah do when she's facing like a serious case of writer's block?
Well, she has a few strategies up her sleeve for those dreaded moments of creative paralysis.
Okay.
One of her favorites is to switch gears and work on a completely different writing project.
Oh, okay.
So if she's struggling with a formal essay, for example, she might take a break and work on a fun, creative short story.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, sometimes just changing the type of writing you're doing can really help to clear your head
Right.
and spark new ideas.
Yeah.
She also finds that talking to other writers about their experiences with writer's block can be incredibly helpful.
It's like having a support group for writers
Yes.
where you can share your struggles and encourage each other through those creative roadblocks.
Right, because it's a reminder that everyone goes through those creative slumps.
Yeah.
And it's not a sign of failure.
It's so true. It happens to the best of us.
What?
But what about seeking inspiration from outside sources? Does Sarah ever turn to like books or movies or even nature for inspiration?
She does. She finds inspiration everywhere.
Oh, that's so cool.
She's an avid reader, and she often finds that reading the work of other writers, especially those who write in different genres or styles,
Yes.
can spark new ideas and perspectives.
Oh, that's great.
And she also loves spending time in nature,
Oh,
observing the world around her and letting her imagination run wild.
that's a great reminder that inspiration really can be found everywhere if we just open ourselves up to it.
It's true.
But speaking of inspiration, I know both John and Sarah have a lot of wisdom to share when it comes to improving English writing.
Right. They've both gone through incredible journeys, facing challenges and celebrating victories along the way.
And they've really distilled those experiences into some really valuable tips and strategies.
They have.
I'm so excited to delve into their combined top 5 tips for improving English writing.
Yes. These tips are like golden nuggets of wisdom gleaned from years of experience and a passion for the craft of writing.
Let's do it. Let's unlock those tips. Okay, so let's unlock those top 5 tips.
I'm ready.
Okay. So tip number 1 is a classic for a reason. Write daily.
Okay?
Both John and Sarah emphasize that consistency is key.
Right.
Even if it's just for a few minutes each day, make writing a regular habit.
Yeah, it's like anything you want to get good at. Practice makes progress. But what if you're staring at that blank page and you're just feeling totally uninspired?
Right. Well, that brings us to tip number 2. Focus on topics that you enjoy.
Okay.
When you're genuinely interested in what you're writing about, the words will tend to flow much more easily.
Yeah, it's true. It's like choosing a delicious meal over a bland one.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to savor every bite. So we've got consistency and enjoyment covered. What's next?
All right. This one might sound a little counterintuitive, but it's super important. Embrace your mistakes.
Oh,
Both John and Sarah view mistakes not as failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow.
okay. So instead of beating yourself up over a grammar slip-up, you just view it as a stepping stone.
Exactly. It's about shifting your mindset from fear of failure to a growth mindset.
Right.
And actually, studies have shown that people who embrace mistakes as part of the learning process actually tend to learn faster and retain information better.
It's great. It's like those fail-forward motivational posters. But for writing, I love that. Okay, so we've got consistent practice, enjoyable topics, and a positive attitude towards mistakes. What else do we need to conquer the world of writing?
Tip number 4 is all about seeking feedback.
Okay.
Both John and Sarah are huge advocates for getting feedback from a variety of sources: language partners, teachers, online tools, even friends and family members.
So it's not just about getting those grammar checks. It's about getting feedback on the clarity of your message, the flow of your writing, the overall impact.
Precisely. Feedback helps you see your writing through different lenses and identify areas where you can improve.
Yeah, it's like having a whole team of writing coaches, all rooting for your success. All right, we got one more tip to unlock. What's the final piece of the writing puzzle?
Okay, this one kind of ties everything together beautifully. Experiment with different writing styles.
Ooh.
Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and try your hand at different forms of writing. From informal journaling to formal essays, from creative short stories to persuasive articles.
That's awesome. It's like exploring a whole buffet of writing styles, savoring each flavor, and discovering your favorites.
Exactly. It helps you to develop a versatile writing voice and find the styles that really resonate with you.
So there you have it. The top 5 tips from John and Sarah for improving your English writing. Write daily, focus on enjoyable topics, embrace those mistakes, seek feedback, and experiment with the different styles. What I love about these tips is that they're not just for, aspiring novelists or professional writers. They're really for anyone who wants to communicate more effectively and confidently in written English.
It's about empowering yourself to express your thoughts, ideas, and stories in a way that is clear, engaging, and authentically you.
I love that. It's a journey of learning, growth, and self-discovery. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. What type of writing are you most drawn to? And what's one small step that you can take today to start practicing that style? Maybe it's jotting down some ideas in a journal, trying out a new writing prompt, or even just drafting a quick email to a friend. Remember, every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your writing goals.
And don't forget to have fun along the way. Writing should be an enjoyable and fulfilling experience. Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and never stop exploring this vast and wonderful world of words.
Until next time, happy writing.
Thanks for watching this video from Simply English, an educational channel for all ages and all stages. If you're new to this channel and enjoyed this video, please subscribe and press the like button. If you have any suggestions, please mention them in the comments section. Take care, and goodbye.